Hello there, my very good friends. Coming up on today's wrestling news, we're going to tell you all about WWE potentially scrapping a huge Royal Rumble 2021 match.
The 2021 Royal Rumble odds have been revealed.
Is this WWE legend really turning down the Hall of Fame?
Plus, Bayley talks about slipping through WWE's fingers on Stone Cold's podcast. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Okay, let's kick things off by talking about Royal Rumble 2021. If you watch SmackDown this week or, exist within the wrestling sphere, you will know that Roman Reigns is set to defend his Universal Championship, not against Daniel Bryan, not against Kevin Owens, against Adam Pearce. An unforeseen turn of events. Nobody in their right mind could have seen this thing coming. Adam Pearce won a gauntlet match. I use air quotes there because he got his head super kicked off by Jey Uso and then dragged on Shinsuke Nakamura's corpse for the 1-2-3. Roman Reigns effectively bullying an authority figure who's been retired for 6 years into this punishment situation. It's very fitting of Roman Reigns' character. However, the match might not actually happen. Stuff here from Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, direct quotation, saying that because it seems like such a strange match to make, there's a very good chance that Adam Pearce could be replaced by Kevin Owens before the Royal Rumble itself. That's at the end of the month. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns have obviously had their issues in recent months. Kevin has lost 2 Universal title matches to Roman so far, but both very well received matches. Good feud, great promos from Kevin. He's really fired up, and of course, the head of the table is one of the best things in all of wrestling at the moment. So while, it is kind of the WWE thing of just throwing a bunch of rematches all in a row, I don't think there's much reason to be upset about that, particularly when the other option is, the Adam Pearce thing, which would probably be quite a good angle, right? It's going to be Roman Reigns beating the crap out of this dude for X amount of time. It would be a good angle, but Kevin Owens is obviously going to be a better match. Not to discredit Adam Pearce, by the way, who's a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He was in Ring of Honor for a long time. Very respected pro wrestler in his day. But yeah, man, I think Kevin Owens is probably a bit more exciting than Scrap Daddy.
Did I see a tweet that said Postman Pearce has got 6 world titles to Roman Reigns' 5, by the way?
Do you want to know something as well? Adam Pearce was, and they aren't remotely comparable, I'm just joking. Adam Pearce was NWA World Champion for over 1,000 days. That's more than twice as long as Terry Funk. So, they could market this by going, yeah, Adam Pearce, twice as good as Terry Funk. Obviously not, but,
If you'll briefly indulge me, my Saturday was started by hearing, I sort of half got it spoiled. I heard rumours of a surprise Royal Rumble opponent for Roman Reigns. So I watched that gauntlet match and I thought, aside from all the bollocks with Postman Pearce, I thought, oh, okay, Shinsuke Nakamura, that makes a nice change. Then what happened, and I was just baffled sitting there. So this story that you're reporting on there, Andy, does make a lot of sense. I am kind of intrigued by Postman Pearce versus Roman Reigns. Obviously, like you said, they could switch it back to Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, and as you alluded to there, I openly admit, obviously we do it for work, but when I used to watch the Royal Rumble, I watch it for 2 matches, and that's the 2 Royal Rumble matches, or previously 1 match. And so you can kind of almost put anyone in world title matches. You'd expect, my mind always goes back to Edge versus Rey Mysterio, or the classic matches that they just go, you kind of know the title's not going to change here, but you're going to get a banging 20-minute match. So for me, if you are going to change it, well, you can just run back Kevin Owens again. Why not have a nice little Shinsuke Nakamura redemption arc in there? And then you can have Shinsuke and KO and Jey Uso and Roman Reigns and a couple of others who merit, a bit of exposure. Chad Bloody Gable in the Elimination Chamber, which Roman emerges from still as your champion and then goes on to, fingers crossed, face someone like Daniel Bryan or Big E at WrestleMania. But yeah, absolutely baffling the announcement of Postman Pearce. But like you say, kind of into it, kind of want to see how this goes, and I don't want WWE to scrap it just because a few people like myself posted confusing GIFs on Twitter. But speaking of the Royal Rumble, the odds have been not necessarily revealed, but the odds have come out regarding who you should put your money on to win the both men's and women's Royal Rumble matches. This is according to betonline.ag. An interesting selection. It's all kind of weird. Americans do betting odds in a kind of backwards way. It's very simple in England. If it's 8-1, if you bet 1, you get your 1 back at 8. What's plus and minus stuff? Anyway, Daniel Bryan is the favourite, a -125 favourite. Then comes Keith Lee, plus 400. Big E, plus 500. Edge, plus 500. Brock Lesnar, plus 600. Bill Goldberg, please God, no, plus 800. And then you're over into the thousands. AJ Styles and The Rock at plus 1,000. Kevin Owens, plus 1,200. Roman Reigns, plus 1,200. So Daniel Bryan, the clear favourite there. Before I get your thoughts on it, Andy, I'll just run through the women's. Kind of more harder to call this. The favourite is Bianca Belair. Come on, plus 450. Then you've got Rhea Ripley, plus 500. Be absolutely fine with that. Alexa Bliss, plus 600. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler at plus 800. Becky Lynch, plus 900. Becky Lynch kind of busy, I'd probably guess. Bayley, plus 1,000. Charlotte Flair, plus 1,200. Sasha Banks, plus 1,400. She's got a world title already. And Nia Jax, plus 1,600. Andy, your reaction to this and who you'd like to see win?
So in both of these lists, there are people that would be very well received. Daniel Bryan, Big E, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and people who, if they won, the whole entire internet would be burned to a crisp. Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair. It's kind of tough to invest too much into Daniel Bryan as the favourite at the moment because, well, I mean, there's still 3 weeks of TV to go, but also we've been here before with Daniel Bryan, 2014, 2015, of course. So, you know, you're kind of wise to keep it at arm's length just now, although it would be really cool and really well received if they did it. Love the Royal Rumble every year. It's one of my favourite events of the year, my favourite WWE event of the year for sure. I would love to see them go down the star-making route. I would love to see Big E and Bianca Belair.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful visual for the show, and I think they're the right people that are in the right position, and it's the perfect time for them. What I am a little bit annoyed about is I was looking, and I can find odds on, like, Stephanie McMahon to win the women's, or Vince to win the men's, or Conor McGregor, who's kind of busy in January. He's got a fight with Dustin Poirier in, like, 2 weeks. Got odds on them to win the Royal Rumble. Titus O'Neil and Wade Barrett. Where are the odds for them? Where are the odds for them? Where's the odds for Pat McAfee, guys? Come on.
Sort your life out, person who came up with these odds. X-Pac, Sean Waltman, doesn't want to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as a solo wrestler. This is according to the man himself on an interview with the Wrestling Inc. Daily podcast, speaking to Nick Hausman. I've got the quote here. I've said this and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I have no desire whatsoever to stand up there by myself to give an acceptance speech for another Hall of Fame. I don't like that situation, standing there in front of thousands of people. It's one thing to stand there and have a match, but it never was my thing. I was never the big jabber-jawyer. I had some things to say sometimes, and I think they came off authentic, and I think that's why people liked me, but I'm not getting Promo of the Year awards ever. So the interesting thing about this is X-Pac has a Hall of Fame resume, right? The 1-2-3 Kid stuff, some of the most iconic underdog moments in WWE history, multiple mid-card title reigns, tag team title reigns, he was in DX. But the weird thing about this is that if Waltman X-Pac was inducted as a solo wrestler, he'd probably be the first ever 3-time inductee in WWE history. Which is crazy when you consider Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and all these other people. But he's already in there as part of DX, obviously, that was 2019. In 2020, he was supposed to be part of the New World Order induction. So if that went ahead and then he got inducted as a singles wrestler as well, he'd be the most decorated Hall of Famer in WWE history. Kind of a crazy situation, but I get it. The man just can't be asked with the ceremony. He can't be bothered standing on the podium and cutting a promo. Fair play to him.
We're big fans of X-Pac here at What Culture, and I think he merits all the accolades that people give him, and I think it's fair enough. It's up to him whether he wants to accept it or refuse it, and to be honest, if you ask me, he should be in there 4 times, because then you can have him as part of X Factor going on with the greatest wrestling theme ever. But yeah, I think it's fair enough. It's his decision, and yeah, it'd be surreal to have him as a 3-time Hall of Famer, but he's been a part of some great stuff, and I'd say he merits going in on his own. Like you say, for the stuff he does. And, we go back and watch and you see back in the day how much he was used as a sort of measuring stick in terms of like, if you can't have a good match with X-Pac, you're probably a bit crap, because he was so good back in the day, hence why he was so involved in so many of these different shows. Let's move on to our final story of the day. Bayley appeared on Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions recently. Well worth checking out. Saw Hamflet singing the praises of this as well last night, unsurprisingly. And she was talking very interestingly about her first run as SmackDown Women's Champion back in 2019 before she turned heel. And yeah, had many issues with that run. Kind of as Stone Cold Steve Austin alluded to. He said he was wanting her to change her act up even back in like 2017. And she said, I just wasn't feeling it for a long time. It was a kind of relationship where you're like, man, this don't feel like it used to and something's missing. And that was kind of what it felt like. I think it didn't feel right. I was losing confidence because I felt I was slipping right through the company's fingers, where I thought I had so much to offer, so much to give. I can do great things, but I felt like I just wasn't being seen in that light. So I was just going to get left behind. I was going to be forgotten about. And I was really getting nervous about that. I think it's a sense that we all kind of had about Bayley, of they just didn't really know what to do with her, despite how talented she is, Andy.
Yeah, it was a weird situation for the longest time. At various points in her WWE career, but obviously the heel turn has sorted all of that out. Check out the episode of this if you haven't seen it already. It's well worth a watch. Two individuals who clearly deeply respect one another having a conversation over a couple of beers. Perfect.
Ding dong. Hello. Let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCultureWWE. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us. Nick Vlahakis starts us off today saying, do you think the Dusty Rhodes Tag Classic should one day be between all brands? And if so, the stipulation for winning it to be similar to the Royal Rumble, where the team may choose which title they want to challenge for?
It's a good debate, this, I think, because I think putting it across Dusty Rhodes, synonymous with NXT, very important figure in the history of WWE developmental, and that's why it sticks there. It sticks in that realm because that was personal to him. So I think if you spread out across all three brands, like the concept of what this tournament is doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. However, when you look at the tournament lineups, and often there's a lot of thrown together teams, pairings that don't make a great deal of sense themselves, that's your counter argument. You can add more prestige, you can put more eyes on it and stuff. I think if you wanted to have a compromise, for me, maybe like one team from Raw and one team from SmackDown, and they come down to the Performance Center, to the Capitol Wrestling Center, rather than spreading out across. And I think it should always be for an NXT Tag Team title shot, though. I think if you remove it from that, it's too far from the core meaning of what this thing is supposed to be.
I really like that, and I like the idea of saying, in advance, by the way, Chad Gable and Otis, for example, are going back to NXT to be a part of this tournament. And also, just as a little caveat, if we are going to do this WWE, that doesn't mean the Raw and SmackDown teams have to make it to the finals. They can lose in the first round and put people over. Like, just because they're from Raw and SmackDown doesn't mean that they have to be the best. Also, like picking a favourite child in this week's, I think it's this week's anyway, Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, because we've got Ever Rise versus Grizzled Young Veterans, two of my favourite tag teams at the moment. Pick a child that you like more. Second question today comes from Hamid, who says, how do you see Jay White fitting in WWE? Is he number 30 in the Rumble? Also, would he fit better in AEW? Lots of talk about Jay White over the last few days, Andy.
Yeah, but I have a simple answer to this. I don't think Jay White fits in WWE at all, because I don't think he's going to WWE. I think this whole thing's a work. I know there have been reports to the contrary, but somebody very closely connected to stuff like this, I've seen comment that the situation is that Jay White is very unlikely to go to WWE. I don't think it happens. If he was to go, hypothetically, I think you could throw him on the main roster straight away.
Yeah. I don't think you need to bother with him. Getting used to the WWE style in NXT as much as I probably think they handle him better. It's weird being on the opposite end of someone insisting something's a work. I don't like this sensation. But I think if WWE are going to book him on the main roster, he's going to be a tag team with Aleister Black, because Vince thinks that's funny. Final question today comes from Matt Reigns. He says, morning guys, morning Matt. Who is one wrestler in any promotion that needs to win a world title in 2021? Have a wonderful day, gentlemen. You have a wonderful day too.
Short answer, Bianca Belair. There you go. No NXT title reigns. It's overdue. It's overdue. Win the Royal Rumble, win at WrestleMania. Perfect.
Yeah. I want to say Wade Barrett, but I'll say Big E because it makes a lot more sense. Anyway, let's move on to today's and finally, and I want to share this photo. You may well have seen it before. Apologies if you have. Of Hangman Adam Page from back in November 2013, 7 and a bit years ago. Here he is as a 22-year-old high school teacher. I double taked about 5 times when I saw this, so I suppose I taked a lot. My brain's broken. It's astonishing to see wrestlers in scenarios like this. Send me more of these photos photos of wrestlers that you would not realise. Oh, look at them. They're like potentially world champion this year.
Yeah, Adam Page, the essence of the man is completely different in this photo.
It's not the guy I know, and that's okay, but surreal. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. Send me more of those sorts of things. And let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcast. Myself and the Dally Boys sitting down to preview Monday Night Raw a little bit later on today. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Well, actually, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Happy Birthday Monday Night Raw. 28 years old today. First ever episode, January 11th, 1993. Will they celebrate with a banger episode tonight? Maybe?
No. Follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at What Culture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.